Hey everybody, The Real Behemoth here, back in with another video for Heroes of History. Today we are going to be starting a new series and a new playlist on my YouTube channel, and it is going to be a new player guide. Kind of a how-to, tips, tricks, details, overview, etc. of all aspects and game modes of Heroes of History. So jumping into today's video, some of these are going to be shorter, some of these are going to be, medium length, and then some of them are going to be longer. But definitely look forward to me making some of these videos. If you guys have any specific types of videos you'd like for me to make, please let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, let's get into this first video. So the first video is going to be about elemental advantages and disadvantages. So elemental advantages and disadvantages, you're going to see them on the top right of every battle screen. So if you see here, we've got fire, we have red, green, blue, yellow, purple. You can see that in the campaign section. You can see that in the arena section over here. And you can see that also in Treasure Hunt. So let's hop over to Treasure Hunt and just show you guys real quick. So why are elemental advantages important? So as you can see on the top right, red beats green, green beats blue, blue beats red, red does less against blue, blue does less against green, green does less against red. Yellow and purple have an interesting dynamic. They kind of go against one another. Now, elemental advantages are important because if you have advantage over your opponents, you're doing 25% more damage to your opponents. If you have a disadvantage to your opponent, you're doing 25% less damage to your opponents. So what that means is if I'm having, for example, you see a lot of blues over here. We're seeing a lot of blues, right? If I'm throwing some greens in there, my Robin Hood is going to be doing 25% more damage against that Ramses and Napoleon, and they're actually going to be doing 25% less damage to my Robin Hood. So I know specifically in Treasure Hunt, I know a lot of people that create their team comps completely based on color. So if you look into your Treasure Hunt, you're going to see this front screen, right? You've got blues, you've got purples. Well, if you look at the bosses, they're primarily blues. So I know people that will run full green teams on teams like this. That's one way to go about it. Obviously there are also synergies involved and things of that nature, but I know a lot of people that do that. Now, elemental advantages and disadvantages are important because it increases your overall damage output and decreases your overall damage taken. So what are some key things to look out for? Well, in PvP and in Arena, you can very, very clearly see what you're going to be facing, what heroes, what colors, etc. And you can really see that across the board. You can see that in Treasure Hunt. You can see that in Campaign. But specific to Arena, you can counter, your opponents pretty easily if you are taking a look at what team composition they're running. Now, a lot of it is also synergistic related. When building your team comps, of course, you want to have some tanks, some heals, some support, some damage, but the elemental advantage is also important. So, early on in early game, you're going to be looking at a couple of different heroes. The things that you really want to focus on for elemental advantages and disadvantages are your damage units and your tanks. So for your damage units, you want to figure out how to get your advantage over your enemy units. So let's look at some primary, DPS units. So Means you're going to want to heavily use him against greens, right? And for Kin, you're going to want to heavily use them against purples. Well, in regards to tanks, when we're looking at tanks, yellow tanks and purple tanks, so yellow, King Minos, purple being Otto, some of these earlier game tanks are important because typically you're going to be running into a lot more greens, reds, and blues versus yellows and purples. So this means that if you're throwing Otto in a match and it's just red, greens, and blues, there's going to be zero elemental advantage across the board. It's an even playing field. Versus if you were to throw him against a team of yellows, he's probably going to die significantly faster. So keep that in mind when you guys are creating your team compositions and when you're looking into your battles. Elemental advantages can play a key role into how the battle plays out. Hope you guys enjoyed this first video. There's a lot more to come. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.